Greetings and welcome to Hexed Encountered. I'm Joe. In this video, I'm going to be setting up a campaign in the game Combat Eastern Front. Now you can see here we have the game rules, and of course over here is the campaign record and the random scenario record. Now these are in the book at the back, as you can see. You can also download them from the Compass website, which is what I did, so that you have them. So if you watched my setup video for the scenario 1 of the game, at the very beginning I mentioned that after doing that video, but before I posted it, I discovered that Mathew Hinkle, who is the designer of this game, had done a series of videos on scenario 1 and kind of including gameplay and stuff. Excellent stuff. If you're going to get the lowdown on how the game works, the designer is a good person to give it to you, and he does a really good job. I elected to go for the campaign because it's randomized, and the way that one of the things that he did when he redesigned the game was figure out a way to be able to play both sides. And that opens up a whole lot of extra stuff that you don't get or didn't get in previous versions. So you can see here, this is the random generation charts. Now, if you come down here, you'll notice you've got American, Soviet, German, right, on the player side, and then the non-player side. Now, another thing, you don't see British on here, but there are rules that take the Arnhem game. There's a one-page rule sheet available on the Compass Games website where you can download that. If you have Arnhem and this game, you can actually play. You can do a random campaign playing as the British or playing as the British. We don't yet have the counters that would allow us to do non-player Americans and British. We do have them for non-player Soviet and German. So now at the top is the charts for this game, right? So you only have Soviet and German. You have a 50-50 chance. Now they recommend rolling for it, right? Here is our the systems generator for the scenario. Now I'm going to actually choose a side for the campaign, and there are campaign rules as well further back. And yep, right there, campaign game. Right, so we're going to fill out the sheet here. It's this campaign record. You can see the name, abilities, troop quality, weapon, grenade, other. Right, each of our soldiers will get that. It's a persistent campaign. You're going to play 10 scenarios, and you'll keep your squad, assuming everybody lives, you'll keep the same men over through the entire course, and you'll see how you do, and there's a victory point schema to figure out how you did and all that good stuff. Really, really well done. So after reading through it, I was like, I really want to do this, and that's the genesis of this. So I am going to play, I think, as the Germans. It's a coin flip. I've never played as the Germans, and I've never played as the Soviets because the Soviets weren't even in this system until now, and the Germans were always the non-player side in the first 3 games. So I'm going to play as the Germans only because I feel like it's a little bit more interesting, maybe. I mean, that's just a gut feeling. It's not like I have anything against playing as the Soviets, and maybe I'll flip it around and play as them later on, not necessarily for video. So then you're going to roll for your orders of battle, right? So you're going to roll 2 D10s basically, which they do quite kindly give us. And that'll tell you your orders of battle for, you're going to spin up a scenario, and then you're going to use this to kind of, on the Soviet side, will tell you what year you're getting. But you roll this first, and then you'll get the what you get from the other side. So I'm going to pull my dice mat over here, and I'm just going to drop that on there for now. Here are our 2 D10s. We'll say the black will be the first digit and the white the second digit. And so that's a 57. So a 57 would be average quality for the Germans. Okay, so we're gonna have an average quality German force, and then we'll roll for the year, and we got a 41, which is actually 1941. So we're going to early war. So we're going to have early war Soviet order of battle here. So kind of similar to what the Blitzkrieg scenario was in a way. But the next step is to pick what kind of scenario you get. So you can see on here, the list. You've got firefight, attack, defend, pursue, fallback, ambush, and trapped, and your maps, and so on. So let's continue rolling here. All right, so we got a 0-1. So that is a firefight. Now, each of these scenarios has a description in here. And here's firefight. Okay. And these are your random events. And it actually includes all 26 of the possibilities, which are listed here on the back of the game rule book. And so you get scenario rules and everything in here. And we have not yet determined what map. So let's do that next. So we're going to roll that, and maybe we should try something a little bit flatter here. 89. 89 is the plains. Okay. So the plains will be the map. What we see here, this is the forest map because it's what is used in scenario 1, and I have not yet swapped it out because I didn't know what map I was going to be using. Okay, so we've got average quality Germans. We've got early war. 1941 is our year, early war. Soviets. We're going to have a firefight as our first scenario. We're going to be using the plains map, and now we will roll for the non-player size. 18 is a small, barely. And the friendly edge, 11. So the friendly edge will be the 01 hex side, which is typically that side. And then precipitation. So we're going to get weather. Maybe I'll wait. Well, you know what? Let's do it all, right? 0-5. So 0-5 for weather is going to be no precipitation. Okay, I took a brief pause to write some of that down so I wouldn't forget. And we'll continue to roll now. So the next thing is ground. So since I rolled none on precipitation, I did not need to roll on here. So 9A, B, well, 9B, C, and D, I think, they don't matter. Ground, precipitation roll. Okay, yeah. So with none, so it's yeah, we don't need to worry about this. Visibility. 39 is clear. And day night, anything 94 or under is day. We get a 14, so that's day. Okay, the final roll is for terrain. Basically, it says if the roll to see if fields are in season for this scenario. And we got a 64, which would be a no. Well, we know the war started in June, so I guess this would be fall, maybe. So all of this is all explained here in the random generation rules, which I won't go through right now. If random events, rain, snow, or visibility are rolled for a scenario, add on these clarifying rules. So, yeah, so down here it talks about adding in the British, not the British, the Americans and elite Germans. Then, so here you see an example. It's all filled out. Then here we have our firefight rules, which is, of course, the first scenario. So we're going to set up first. So I'll have to get the map out, and I'll do that in a second here. For an A setup from step 7, which is what we are, we're going to place all friendly characters within 1 hex of hexes 11.07 through 11.13. A small enemy force receives 14, a medium 21, and a large 28. Take each group of 7 characters and roll a d10 based on the okay. Well, let's start off with the map. So let me change out my map here so that you will see the other map here in a moment. Okay, here you see the plains map, part of it. We're actually going to be setting up right in this area here. This is row 11. And here's our German order of battle. We're going to be in the average quality. So I'm going to roll 1d6, and that'll tell us what we get for our squad. So we'll put this out here so we can see it. And roll. And we got a 1. 1, so you can see from Team A, 3, 6, 7, and 14. Team B, 5, 8, 10, and 15. And Team C, 9, 20, and 21. So I will get those together. Okay, so here are our selections based on what we rolled. So we have Lieutenant Ala, Soldat Gentner, Soldat Arzt, Soldat Quatzt, Feldwebel Schade, Soldat Große, Gefreiter Klump, Soldat Volz, Soldat Weckler, Obergefreiter Schlag, Soldat Zorberg, and these two are a weapons team, and they get an MG34, which is a heavy. Since we are in 41, we're not eligible to roll to see if we could get an MG42. So we are going to be using our MG34. Now, I will need to write these guys down on our campaign record so that we can track them. Hopefully, they won't all get knocked off too early in the war here, but they're going to end up. I'm going to end up setting them up right in this area where they are, kind of along in this area, probably this area. So quick pause, and I'll be right back. Okay, as you can see, I've placed my forces. Now, the Soviet forces are going to be in hex row 25, which is actually just off shot right now. But we have to draw our opposition. So this is the red team right here, and selected based on the Soviet order of battle, which indicates that they will be drawing from characters, as you can see, 3, 4, 10 through 18, 20, and 4 dummies. Now, if they draw 20, they get 21 as kind of a bonus because they are a team. So the other part of this is they get 14 characters because they're a small team. And they have 4 teams to draw from, red, white, blue, and yellow. And 14 does not divide by 3. So what I'm going to do is each team will get 3. And then for the extra 2, I will roll 1 die right now. And we'll say if it's a even number, it's 2 and 4. And if it's an odd number, it's 1 and 3. It's a 2. So 2 and 4, which are white and yellow, will get 4th character. Okay, so red only gets 3. So I'm going to drop all of these in here. And I'm going to draw them out one by one and draw them out so I don't know what they are. We're going to put them down like that. You can feel the counter to see, to kind of tell what side's the front and what side's the back. You can tell. As you can see, I was able to do that without looking. So these are our 4 red characters. I'm going to put them aside for the moment. Actually, they only get 3. So forget that. I'll put that back. I'll take these guys out. I'll do the same with white. And then white will get 4. Then I'll do 3 blue and 4 yellow. I'll do that off camera to save time. Okay, so according to the rules, they will be, we're going to roll for placement. Place 1 character in the hex determined by the die roll and 1 character in each adjacent hex. Repeat this procedure for each group of 7 characters. They do not set up in upper levels of buildings. And they get a 9. So I'm going to group red and white together and blue and yellow. That's 7 and 7. So for the A setup, a 9 is 2806. So that's actually pretty far away. I'm going to put first one here in 2806, which is off camera right now. Let me see if I can get it in shot. It's just off shot. So hang on one second. Okay, there you go. So that's 2806. Got my written material over here. So each of the rest of them will go adjacent, like such. And we don't know what they are. Mystery. All right, now we roll again, I guess, for this next one, and we'll find out where the other group goes. 1, so that's like the opposite end of the spectrum. They are going to be in 2307. Okay. Now the remainder of the setup. Okay, here are my tracks. I've got the weather set out. It's daytime, normal ground, clear visibility, and no precipitation. Both sides have bold morale by default, so I'll put those out as well. And next step is both sides are alert. Scenario is 10 turns. Friendly characters can attempt only 1 search order per captured or eliminated enemy officer. If it's successful, the player gets bonus victory points. Search order performed on a prisoner does not cause them to escape. the basic premise of this scenario is your patrol has run into an enemy patrol. Your objective is to inflict losses, capture prisoners, and drive them away. We will not use the confidence track. I'd like to, but let's do this first one simple, and then we'll add that on perhaps later on. We have one last task to do here before we actually start. Well, I guess this is technically part of starting. They kindly give you these cards, right? So this is the trait card, and you can see you've got one side is the Germans and one side is the Soviets. So since we're playing the Germans, right? So talking about your initiative switch, we'll talk about this in a moment when I actually put the initiative chits out. The one I wanted to point out right now is this hand size, right? So 5 cards. And I mentioned this, I think, earlier, but for getting an MG42, you have to roll for it. And it's based on the year. So you have to roll under the year, the last digit of the year to get the 42. So in 42, you'd have to roll a 0, 1, or 2, and then obviously it gets a little easier as you get further along in the war. 41, which is where we are now, we don't have the option to get that, and you might guess that by the name of this weapon being an MG42. Anyway, I don't want to digress too much. Here's a look at the Soviets. Their hand size is 3 cards. You can see they're not allowed to use smoke grenades, and they get, if we're using confidence rules, which I've decided not to use in this scenario, but I will try to use it in the second scenario, assuming I do a second scenario on video. I will show you that. Then we also have an abilities card. Here, this applies to both sides. And so there will be symbols on some cards, or some characters rather, that will correspond to one of these. It's 2-sided. These are all the various abilities. If you've played Combat 2, Volume 2, they have something like this. It's been expanded a bit, but kind of generally the same thing. I personally have a heroic character, Grossa, and we also have 2 medics. So they can be given a medical aid order to bandage a wound, which comes in handy as it offsets some of the negative connotations of drawing a wound. So let me draw my cards here. So we get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 per the rules. And here on our sequence of play card, you can see in step 0, none of this applied, so we don't have to worry about it. So we're going to start here in friendly card phase, and we draw our cards. We start with 5, and then after that, if we don't have any, if we use them all up, we'll draw another one. You also gain cards through planning, and we'll talk about that as it comes up, which it probably will. But I want to kind of get this moving here. So once we have our cards, we have to play one for initiative. Now, look at our tactical situation here. The terrain is basically flat. We do have some features that, mix that up a little bit. This area here, you probably can't see it, but there's a -1 right here. That indicates this is a lower elevation. So this is kind of a gully running through the middle of the map. Once characters are in here, that will push them down below line of sight for most of the people up top, unless they're adjacent to the gully itself. Other things, of course, we've got scrub here, we've got some trees, we've got some rocks. All of those have implications for line of sight, and we'll get into that when we start talking about how that all works. In general, we do have characters on both sides that have line of sight to each other right off the bat. So you have to decide, do you want to go for initiative, which would allow you to attempt to fire or spot first? Typically, you're going to have to spot first, or do you want to defer and let them do something? And not so much defer, but if you look here, each of our teams, you can ignore this because we don't have a D, E, or F, of course, right? These are crew cards, which will be for when we get vehicles. But you have 36, 30, and 28. Those are relatively low. Here we have a 98, a 50, and a 92. So higher or worse if you want initiative, right? So we're looking for one that, like this one here, is great if you want initiative. So I'm going to play this one. When you play these, you have to look at this area here as well. And it says discard medical marvel, play to auto pass a medical aid roll. This does not apply right now, so we don't have to worry about it. So I'm going to play this onto our friendly discard area, and that will give us the ability to hopefully draw pretty high here in terms of initiative. Now this is, next we have to put out our orders for all of our characters. We don't yet know what the initiative values for the enemy are going to be. That's part of your fog of war. So we're going to ultimately kind of do this somewhat blindly, especially right now, because we don't know anything about these guys except that we can see maybe some movement over here. So we know there's men over here, but we don't know anything else about them. Now, what kind of weapons they might have. And there are also possibilities that some of these guys are dummies, which means they don't even exist. They're kind of false sightings, if you will. So we need to decide what kind of orders we want to give our men. Now, as I mentioned, there are characters here that have line of sight. For example, our MG34 here, if we just draw a straight line up, it leads right to this character. So there is nothing here. This is clear. And the gully is lower, so that's not going to impact it. And go straight up here, and boom, we can see him. The range is actually 11 hexes, because I already counted it. And so we would maybe want to give him a fire order in the hopes that he can spot this guy and then ultimately fire upon him. So that would be the first thing I would do. So we are going to give them, and they're a team, so they kind of go together. They're going to get an aimed fire order. I'm just going to put this here. I know they're a weapons team, so they're together. Now, if we look at this again, you can see 0, black 0, red 1, black 0, red 1. Those correspond to the 4 impulses within a turn. And here we have on our order summary card, which is really useful if you're not completely sure. As you play, you'll remember what all this stuff means. But in general, aimed fire is right at the top. Impulse 1 cannot move or fire. So basically, they're going to sit there, but we can use that opportunity to spot, which is important. Then impulse 2, they will fire but can't move. So 3 again, cannot move or fire. 4 can fire but not move. So they're going to get 2 shots. Hopefully on the first impulse, we'll be able to spot them. If not, then we will lose our opportunity to fire in impulse 2, but we'll get another shot to spot, and so on, right? So let's move on. Next, I'm going to start down here and move up. It really doesn't matter in what order you do it. And I won't explain the orders necessarily turn by turn. Just kind of note what everybody is going to be doing. So our next one here is Vectler, and he can. So this is the first time we're going to have to talk about what Scrub does in terms of line of sight, because we're going to try to, again, we want to spot these guys. So it's going to depend somewhat on what order I give them, right? So this is your order, terrain, and spotting chart, right? Now, Scrub is down here, and you can see it's got an S here and an R, and the size is 0. So see size, rough, and blocking. So for Scrub, we have 0, so it has no size. It is considered rough terrain, and it has an S, which means small terrain, right? So small terrain, if your character has an order that has them kind of crouched down or crawling, or doing something like reloading or rallying, then that would block their line of sight, right? So we're not doing any of those things. I don't plan on doing any of those things. I'm going to give them an aimed fire command as well, or give him an aimed fire command as well. One thing I should mention while I'm doing this is if we look at our card here, see the colors A, B, C, right? Red, white, blue. C has the lowest number, so I'm kind of gambling that they will be the first to activate. It's a gamble because the Soviets certainly will have an opportunity to draw a number lower than 6 for one of their 4 teams here. But if they don't, then they would go first. And you generally activate top to bottom. So Vectler would actually activate before the machine gun team. That's kind of, I think, just kind of a rule of thumb and not necessarily the way you have to do it. But I'm going to try and follow the general gist as well. I'm going to try to follow the rules as best I can. And I should offer the caveat that I will likely make some kind of mistake, if not multiple mistakes. While doing this, game is not super complicated, but there are a lot of modifiers and little nuances that you do have to remember. And it's likely that I'll forget them in the heat of talking about it and doing things and so on and so forth. So please don't hold that against me. And if you do notice a problem, of course, feel free to put it in the comment section so other people can see what I messed up. Okay, so Vector will get an aimed fire as well. The white team, as I continue to go north, so we'll start here with our heroic character, Grossa. And I think what I'm going to do with these guys is I'm going to try to move them. Maybe we'll do like a run and gun where they're going to be moving up, right? We want to get closer and maybe even get into the gully. I don't know yet. We'll see about that. But ultimately, our goal, remember, for our patrol, our firefight here, is to either kill or capture the enemy, or at least drive them off. So to do that, we have to get in contact with them. And the closer you are, the better off you are, though, being down in the gully is good from a not getting spotted standpoint, but it also limits you in some ways as well. So I'm thinking I'm going run and gun for all 4 members of this team, so we can push them, kind of in this direction, and maybe get into the gully, or at least get up closer to the enemy, hopefully not get shot on the way. But it is combat, and you are risking your life and limb when you're involved in these particular activities. Now you see I've given them their run and gun orders, and if you want to see what run and gun actually is, it's right here. So impulse 1, must move 1 hex, can't fire. 2, must fire if possible. If not, you must move 1 hex. So basically they alternate, right, between a must move without being able to fire, and then a must fire, and if you can't fire, you have to move. So we're going to move anywhere between probably 1 and, well, more than 1, between 2 and 4 hexes, and all 4 of these guys have that. Now, is that a great order? Perhaps not. I'm trying to demonstrate various things, so I'm not overly thinking the tactical part of it. Obviously, when you play for real, you want to be mindful of all the basic things, the risks involved of sending your men up through open ground. But there was plenty of that in the war, so we do what we must, right? Now I'm going to, let's see, what do we want to do here? Now let's talk about suppressive fire, right? So you have slow suppression and suppressive fire. Now the German rifle, the Kar 98, is right here, Kar 98K. Now you have they actually give you 2 player aids that have the weapon information on. This is kind of the condensed version, and you have both sides. There's also one that's a little bit, it's like they were in the other games, earlier games in the series, where you have a German weapon characteristic on one side and the Soviets on the other side. So here's our Kar 98K, right? It's the German Karabiner 98 Kurz rifle. Then you've got your max range is 55, and the range effects here, and your rate of fire, it says slow. So that means you have to use slow suppressive fire as opposed to regular suppressive fire. So according to our rules, slow suppressive fire aims to suppress the target rather than hit it. The advantage of this type of fire is no order terrain modifiers apply to the shots. Disadvantage is when a successful hit's made, you don't draw a wound card. Instead, you get a close call result for every hit, and the target must make a morale check for each close call. The order has number 0101. So again, as we just saw, 1 and 3, you cannot move or fire. Impulse 2 may fire but cannot move. Okay, so I'm thinking I'm going to give maybe these 2 guys slow suppressive fire. Now, if we look across here, we want to avoid the tree. So maybe we target this guy. And then up here, maybe I don't give him a slow suppressive fire. Maybe instead we do a move, one of the various move orders. That'll be an opportunity for you to see that in action. It's pretty straightforward, of course, as you would expect. So we're going to give Arts here a slow suppressive fire order. I'm going to give Gentner here a sneak order. And I'm going to actually give Lieutenant Allah and Sergeant Kvast evade orders. And that way, these are all move orders. So sneak, right? You cannot move on impulse 1. You may move, cannot fire in impulse 2. So it's optional. And then 3, you can't move or fire. And 4, you must move, cannot fire. And evade is just a must move 4 times, basically. They do have negative impact on both spotting and attacks. So that is good from the standpoint of if they are spotted, it'll make them harder to spot for one thing, and for the other thing, if they are spotted, it'll make them harder to hit. So I'm going to try and get these guys into the gully, basically, is what I'm doing. So I'm going to send the red guys, and you don't have to keep them together. They can mix and match, generally speaking. So, but I'm going to kind of keep these guys together and maybe try and flank these guys a little bit so we can get, maybe fire from this direction and this direction or something along those lines, right? Spread it out a little bit. They do outnumber us, I believe. They have, 14? And we have 11. So they do outnumber us slightly. Okay, so next we would move on, on our turn summary. We've done this. We go to the orders. We've done that. Now we go to the enemy card and order phase. I'm going to draw 4 cards, one for each of the teams on the enemy side, the non-player side, and determine their initiative values. Okay, so let me draw 4 cards. So here are the enemy cards. We're going to draw 1, 2, 3, 4, one for each team. And you start with red, and I'm going to start on the top. And their initiative value is right there in the corner. It's a 57, so I put that on the display. I know this is off shot. There's a display that I showed earlier, and it goes on there. So they get a 57 for red. White gets a 7. So like I said, there was no guarantee the blue would get first, but they are second to blue, okay? For now, because we have that special ability that I mentioned earlier as well. So for blue, they get a 71. That's pretty high. Okay, so those are the only one that's in the mix for being in the middle of my activations is the white so far. Oh, and yellow gets a 9. So yellow will also be relatively high up. Now, so right now, the order would be C team for me, so our blue guys, then the white enemy, then the yellow enemy, then our A team, the red team, and then our B team, and then their red and their blue. So now here on our ability card, you can see nope, that's the abilities. I meant to say traits card. Initiative switch. They may switch any 2 adjacent initiative markers. So I can take that 9 from the yellow team or the 7, but I would choose the 9 because the other way wouldn't work. And actually, let me show you this. So I'm going to adjust my shot here so you can see the initiative track to see exactly what I'm talking about. So here is the order of initiative. This is the initiative track. So I'm first, then Soviet white, Soviet yellow, then red, or A for me, and B for me, and then they're red and they're blue. Okay, so our ability lets us swap to adjacent ones. So we're going to take this guy, and we're going to swap them. So now we've got a little bit better situation where we're going to go our blue, then their white, then our red, then their yellow, and so on, all the way through. So that's our order of activation. And now we have to move on to drawing the orders for the enemy. There are 3 ways, actually, in which you can give the enemy orders. I'm going to use the original, traditional way, which means when they get activated, they'll get their orders. So the white team on the Soviet side will activate second after my blue, or team C, if you prefer. And so when that happens, I'll draw their order card then and assign it. Basically, if we look at an enemy card, just so you know what's coming here, you have in cover and in open, and then their morale state, which in this case is bold for them and us. We both are bold in this scenario. That would give them a specific order. Okay, so I will draw new cards. One of the options to do it quickly is to just use the card that you drew for that team's initiative and take the orders off of there. Ultimately, doing it this way gives you a little bit more fog of war, so that's why I'm going to do it this way. All right, so we get to start play here now. We're going to have our action phase, and we're going to resolve all Impulse 1 orders of each character of the first team on the initiative track. This is called being activated, and the character is active. Each character, one at a time, performs their points. Well, here I can show you. It's right here. right? So we're going to start with, we're going to start by performing the action as required on the activated character's order marker. Okay, so our first character, since we're doing C, which is the blue, for Vector, because we're going to start at the top or the north, so to speak, speaking of which, here's the compass marker. Essentially, this is what we got. This is what we've got. So direction 1, which will become important for the enemy, more so than us, but that way, okay, is for them. So I'm actually going to put this kind of over here where it's visible, but it's not kind of in the way, at least not yet. I can always move it around. The scenario tells you to set it up in row 35, which of course is the last row on the map. Anyway, back to the matter at hand. He's got a 0, and black 0, which means he does nothing in Impulse 1 with his aimed fire marker. Of course, the machine gun squad here, or team, I should say team, not squad. The whole thing is kind of the squad. They also have the same order. But after they're activated, they get a chance to spot. So we're going to, again, try to do that. So he's going to sight along this path right here. You go center dot to center dot from the center of his thing. We're going to kind of skim between these two scrub patches so we don't have any implications for line of sight. And we're going to try to spot this guy right here. So we get our spotting chart out. And he is in open terrain. Okay, so open is right here. NC means no cover. Okay, now we're going to look at the S column, our order. Well, we don't know what his order is, actually. So for right now, he's got no order. So we're going to do open and no order. And that means no change to spotting. Now, to spot, you actually use the wound check. So basically, this is your checks chart, and they always start by checking against your true quality, which for Vector is a 4. Okay, so, and then you have letters that help you find them quickly, right? So this is also a troop quality check, but it's impacted by wounds, which he doesn't have any. Nobody has any wounds yet, but it's in this list here. So it's under I, attempt to spot an opposing character. We would modify for smoke, opposing order, and terrain, which we already found out is 0. Weather and night, we don't have anything from that either because we have good weather and it is daytime. And or range. -1 troop quality if target has winter camouflage, which is also not applicable. Now, based on what we just heard here, the only thing we have to check is our spotting range, which is here, right? So we're going to count. We don't count his well, you don't count one of the endpoints, basically, is how it works, right? So I always start here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So it's 11, and that means it's a -1. So we have to roll a 3 or less, and zeros are zeros in this game. So I'll just put the dice mat there, and we'll roll 1d10. We got a 7. That is a failure. So no spotting there. He's done. Now we move on to these guys. They also can't do anything. So I'm going to bring this straight back. Now their range, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 is also 11. They are attempting to spot him. Now their troop quality, and we have 2 guys, so they both get to try. So we have a 5 for Schlag, Obergruppeiter Schlag, and Zerbrug has a 4. So we'll do a 5, which -1 becomes a 4. He gets a 9. Now, if that was a firing attempt, he'd go low ammo, but it's not. Now we'll do the other one who needs a 3. Zerbrug gets a 7. So whole lot of failed die rolls there. They are now done. We go to the Soviet white. So we're going to draw a card, and they are all not in cover. So we're going to use not in cover, in open, bold, aimed fire. Then there's also a C on here, would mean charge, possible charge order. However, both aimed fire and charge require that there be a spotted enemy in line of sight, which is not currently the case. And that reminds me that I did not put unspotted markers on my men, and I need to do that, so I'll do that right now. Since they can't shoot at us, We'll see if they can attempt to spot. So we'll start with this guy right here. Let's see. So he can attempt to spot here. Maybe. Actually, no, he cannot. This guy looks like he can. So we're going to let this guy attempt. He could probably also attempt there or there, but not there. So we'll just do the front rank, I guess. So this guy, or this guy, I'll roll a d6. Got a 4. So we say 1, 2, 3, 4. So he's attempting to spot this guy. So he's got a true quality of 4. The range is 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. So at 17, that is a -1. So he needs a 3. And he got a 0. So he has spotted. Now, there are a couple things that come into effect when you do that. One of them is that we have to decide if he's a dummy, and he's not. So I'm going to remove the unspotted and put just spotted on here. Okay, now I think that means that the other characters can fire at him with their aimed fire order, except, and I forgot to put the marker out like a doof. Okay, so we'll just put aimed fire on all of these. And of course, aimed fire is a no action on the first impulse anyway. So we'll continue with the spotting efforts though. So we'll do this guy next. Okay, so here, that's a no. That's a yes, but he's already spotted. That's a yes. That's a no. So we'll do odd here, and that's really close. I'm going to say he can't. So we'll just have him spot this guy. So it's the same thing. Needs a 3. Gets a 9. So that's an automatic failure. So he's just going to stay there. He remains unspotted. We'll do the same thing with our next contestant here. We'll go, whoops. Come on now. Yes, I'm using a microphone cord actually for this, because it's thick enough that I can see it without, and I can manage to handle it as well. So that's pretty good. So that's he's spotted. So it would be this guy. Okay, so he's going to attempt to spot him. Same thing, needs a 3. It's a 2, so he's also spotted. So we put a just spotted on him as well. I'm not even going to worry about if he's a dummy. We'll just leave it. That's one of the things you can do, is just leave it, and you'll find out when he attempts to fire if he's a dummy or not. Because once you fire, you're automatically spotted. Okay, so then we have one left. This guy is going to be a little bit more challenging, I think, to find somebody who isn't already spotted and he can actually attempt to spot. Because that is going to cut through the tree. Barely, but it does cut through the tree. Well, it might skirt the tree. We'll let him try it. Another 2. All right. So not great. Actually, he had a sneak order, which might, and I forgot about the orders, run and gun and sneak. So I did screw up there, but I caught it. Hopefully soon enough that, because we rolled a 0, a 2, and a 2. So this will be easy. Let's see. So the terrain for all of these guys is open. So that makes it easy. So we're in the open column. Now the orders, let's do this one who has a sneak order. Sneak order is all the way over here. Open with a sneak order. gets a -1. That would make it, that would still be good. Okay. And then the other ones had run and gun, which I'm going to say is probably, yeah, run and gun in open is a +1. So all those spottings are correct. I just forgot to adjust it for their order. Something to keep in mind. Okay, so they're done. We go back to us with our red team who are up here. Now, first impulse, sneak does nothing. Slow suppression does nothing. This guy does evade. Okay, so he has to move 1. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to actually move him into the rocks, which I think he can do. Let me confirm that. Yes. Okay. And then he will actually follow in that same direction. You can stack. So, I mean, these are 10 yards or meter hexes, more than big enough for 1 man or 2 men or 3 men or whatever. But where he's going to move up there. Then slow suppression is nothing, as I mentioned, I think. And so we're going to go to the Soviet yellow here. And I need to discard this card that I left sitting on the map, even though it was out of the shot. Okay, so they are in the open and bold, so they get an evade 1/6. Now, this means they move in the direction that is listed here. So on odd impulses 1 and 3, they'll move in direction 1, which in this case is that way, and 6 is that way. So they're going to move north basically, and then slightly, I guess, northwest, or yeah, just northwest. All right, so let's give them their order markers and start moving them, because that's what they're doing. And I just realized I screwed up again. I gave all these guys aim fire for the whole team. It's not how you do it. You draw 1 card for each character and do that. So I'm going to leave that for now because that's already spilled milk, so to speak. So he's going to get an evade. And then we'll draw another card. And again, this is a 6/5 evade. So that's also an evade. So I'll have to grab that as well. Okay, so that'll be the second guy. 6/5 is on the other side. So these are double-sided, right? One side will have the 5/6, the other side will have the 6/5. Okay, next is run and gun 6. Okay. And the last one gets rapid fire. Okay. Rapid fire. Okay, so I apologize for screwing that up, but we can now take care of this. So on this one, he's going to move up here. And he's going to evade direction 6 is this way. So he is going to go underneath this guy because he's next. He is running and gunning, so he's also moving 6. So he's going here. And then this guy has a rapid fire order. And that means he is going to attempt to fire. And we do have some spotted units that he can attempt to fire at. So if we go straight down here, he can target him. He might be able... I'm going to say this one only, just looking at his location. So he would fire here. Okay, so as he is firing, he is going to become revealed. And he is, in fact, a character. This is Shishkin. He's got a troop quality of 4, weapon skill of 3. The rapid fire order, as you can see, has a little -2 there. That indicates he's going to lose 2 for the style of firing. Now, he is equipped with rifle, the Mosin Nagant, which, as you can see, is slow, meaning it's not capable of rapid fire. So his rapid fire changes to aimed fire because of the slow nature of his weapon, which means he cannot fire on this impulse. Okay, so that ends the Soviet yellow. We go to player B, or the whites, and that's these guys here in the middle. So we do have a run and gun here, but that's a moot point because it's a run and gun order, so he has to move. Firing won't take place till the next impulse. He's going to move here. And this guy will move here. And we'll move him here. We'll move him here. Okay. That ends the white. We go to Soviet red. Over here, there are 3 of them. So we'll draw a card for our top guy first. I didn't do it in the correct order before, but I'll try and do it now. So he's got run and gun 4 and C. So run and gun is okay because they're going to move first. And he's going to move in a direction 4. Okay, charge. He's not, I don't think he can charge because even though there are spotted enemies, they're pretty far away. Let me confirm that. Yep, they have to be within 4 hexes, and they, of course, are not. So he gets a run and gun. Let's see. So we'll give him this, and a run and gun means he moves down 1. Now we'll draw for the second guy here. He gets also a run and gun, but his is a 6-5 run and gun. So he gets this, and he moves up here. Okay, now we have this last guy over here. And he gets a suppress fire. All right, okay. So since he's got a fire order, we flip him over. It's Alexiev. Okay, he's got oh, he's a machine gunner, number 20. That means he's a woo, that means we have to pull out 21. And they're going to be doing suppressive fire. So he was here. Let me grab 21 from the red. Okay, so Alexiev is the gunner, and this is his assistant, number 21, Popov. Okay, so we're going to put him here with his buddy. Okay, now they are here. So let's check line of sight. Got a spotted fellow right there. Now you might wonder about firing through friendly characters, and I think that's okay. I didn't see anything in there that said it wasn't. The rules do not explicitly say you cannot. They also don't address it as part of the line of sight thing. So I think it's assumed that you can see through these guys, because maybe through isn't the right word. Past might be a better word, because again, these are single men in a hex that is 30 feet or so across. That is large. Obviously, people aren't that big. So I think we're good here for our suppressive fire. So they're going to fire here. Now, it is suppressive fire, which means they cannot wound him, but they can affect his morale. Now, suppressive fire is a little bit different than regular fire. So in this case, you get a -2 for suppressive fire. And you also get a -2 for the distance, which is 16 between here and here. So that's going to be a total of -4. Our firer, the machine gunner himself, the gunner, has a skill of 2, but he can still hit. Actually, no, I guess it's a 5. So, but he can still hit with, yeah, even if it was below 0. If you roll a 0, that's an automatic success. But it's a 5, so he needs a 1 or a 0, and he got a 5. So he failed, and that is the end of him. Now we have the other 2 are already taken care of, so that actually ends their activation. Now we go to the blue, who are over here, and we'll start with this guy, and we draw, and he gets a rapid fire. Okay, so again, oh, and I forgot to give them here's their DP marker, which is the Soviet machine gun. You can see it's heavy, which affects how they can move. So let me put this beside them, and we'll put this on top to indicate that they have the DP. Maybe I should put this over here too, just like that. All right, I know it's kind of off camera or at the edge, but that's what we're going to go with. All right, so we're going to wrap this impulse up and then finish the video. All right, so we need a rapid fire order for this guy. Well, let's draw the other orders before we actually take care of resolving them. That might be easier. Next guy also gets a rapid fire. He also has a grenade, but again, they're out of range for throwing a grenade. So that's another rapid fire. And our third guy, just to make this quick, gets an aimed fire. Okay, easy enough. Okay, so for this guy, let's see if he can actually perform his order. And he actually can. He's got the submachine gun. Okay, so he can perform that order. So I'll leave this order there for him. So his position, I think I'm going to say he can fire at this guy. Now, you know, I may have been forgetting to do spotting checks for some of these other characters. Again, I knew I was going to mess stuff up. I'm doing my best, I guess. So that's all I can offer for that. Anyway, so he's firing. He gets a -2 for that. His weapon skill is a 3. So here we'll use the full card. This is the PP. This was the DP28, by the way, right? So here's our PPS H41. It actually covers a couple of other ones. So rapid fire will be a rate of 3. So he's going to roll 3 dice. And maybe I should have rolled 3 for him too, but I probably should have, and I forgot to. Anyway, he needed a 0 or 1, so it's probably safe-ish to say he might not have gotten it. Count the hexes: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So that is going to be a -4. So he needs a 0, basically, is what this is going to boil down to. So he needs a 0, but he does get to roll 3. So we're going to roll both D10s. And neither of those hit. And then we'll try the other one. And he got a 1. So that was pretty close, but he did not succeed in hitting him. Now we'll try this guy. So let's flip him over and see what he's toting here. So he's got a pistol. Okay, so a pistol, I think, will change to an aimed fire. So that's a nothing for right now, because I believe a pistol is slow. Actually, it is not. It is not slow, but its range, it's out of range. So with it being out of range, I think he just stays aimed fire, and maybe we should try to spot, which I didn't do for him either. So let's do him first, right? Let's see what we got here. Let me grab my wire. So from here. Okay, so that's good. That's also, I think it nicks the corner going to the center there. So he's going to try to spot this guy. Okay. So his order is run and gun. That's not going to help him any. And he's in open. So we got open, run, and gun. That's a +1. +1. All right. His troop quality is a 5. So let's see what we get. A 2. Spotted. Okay. Apparently the Germans are really easy to see. Now we'll do the same for our lieutenant here. And let's see if he can see this guy. Man, that is really close. I'm going to say he can. So he'll try to spot him. That's barely visible there. Now, spotting range. I forgot to adjust for that. The previous one, that would have been it was 10, right? So that would have been a 0 anyway. So for him, though, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 is a -1. He is a 6. And he gets a +1 for the terrain. Actually, no, he's in rocks. So rocks with a evade order. This is going to be a little harder probably. Rocks and evade is a -2. -2. So -2 plus -1 is -3. So he needs a 3 or less. Here, 5. Didn't get it. Okay, now this last guy has aimed fire. So he's not doing anything this turn, so we don't have to worry about him. All right, so that ends this first impulse. So I'm going to advance my marker to 2, which is off shot. I think you'd rather see this than the tracks, so that's why I'm zoomed in on the men as opposed to the other stuff. That's going to do it for this one. I'm Joe. I thank you for watching. Quick shout out to my channel members. Thank you as always for your support. For everyone else, please consider liking, sharing, hyping, maybe even subscribing. Any of that stuff would be awesome and greatly welcomed by yours truly. But if you're already a subscriber, thank you as well. Hopefully you enjoyed this. It was relatively long, longer than I like to go, but I felt it was worth it to show kind of, despite the mistakes I made, worth it to show what was going on here. So that's going to do it for this one. Until next time, as I said, I'm Joe. This is Hexed Encountered, and as always, happy gaming.